yeah, explain disc or globe theory, because it's the first time I've ever heard that in my life.
Yeah, no, same, mate. And you know what? It's been about 6 months ago I stumbled upon it. And do you know what? I had the exact same reaction as everyone else does when they hear that. That's mad. It's absolute madness, right? It doesn't make any logical sense at first, right? At first, it doesn't make any logical sense.
What is it then? What's the actual idea of it?
Well, it's this idea that, you know how our reality is made up of atoms, and atoms 90% of nothingness anyway. And it's almost all like code, isn't it? You've got solids, liquids, and it's all made up of atoms. And, you know, it's basically this idea that we're on, like, a CD disc. Like, the equivalent to that is a computer program, and it's not like how we're sold it. It's all almost like a graphic illusion in itself.
Okay, so essentially, I guess it's kind of a simulation hypothesis. There's quite a lot.
Simulation, like a matrix.
Yeah, there's quite a lot.
Literally.
There's quite a lot of. These ideas have been floating around for about 10 or 12 years. I can remember a while ago I read a book from the library, like 15 years ago now, about quantum computing and how, in theory, if a future civilization could potentially create a quantum computer which can simulate reality, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess it's like that. It's kind of the simulation hypothesis idea, which films like The Matrix kind of brought into popular culture as well, I suppose.
Yeah. I learned about, obviously, from YouTube, people posting stuff. I dismissed it instantly. I was like, no. You remember that YouTube video I did, The Universe, by Artist Taxi Driver? Yeah. It was kind of a breakdown of how that was my original understanding, programming, whatever you want to call it, of how I thought this world is formed. Rocks, gravity, ball earth, and then life blossomed and stuff like that. And then you got other people on YouTube saying flat Earth, it's all a holographic matrix, it's all a computer program, and this is when it's literally like, I keep going back to the Matrix. It's literally like a computer simulation. And I've watched a few videos recently of pilots going as high altitude as possible, and they can't find curvature on the Earth. And I'm sitting there thinking, surely there'd be a curvature. You'd see a curvature, and these pilots can't find any curvature. And you've got NASA, and I'm skeptical of NASA. They're paid by the US government, and I don't really believe much of what comes out from them. So, and NASA is all, like I said, it's all government funded, really. And I think, they can.
I'll have to state the claim. Well, in terms of the flat Earth theory, which I've looked into a bit before. I think the simulation hypothesis idea is interesting, but in terms of the actual physics of where we are in the universe and how we're on a flat Earth, well, we've had this discussion before. Actually, with someone else I know.
Funny, yeah.
Said about this idea of the flat Earth, but I haven't looked into it a bit, but I don't buy it. I honestly don't.
No, and there's still a part of me that doesn't, but I question it because
especially it's such a radical claim.
It is. It's and it changes the whole dynamic of reality itself. Because if you jump from one to the other, then it just means that we're almost like an ant farm. And how does that? It changes the whole scheme of things.
I think that a lot of that has to do with the illusional nature of how we perceive distance, anyway.
Because we're so small on scale. Yeah.
Relative to the Earth, we're tiny, obviously, and relative to the Sun, we're just tiny little dots.
Literally, yeah.
Well, yeah, literally, we are. But I kind of try and take Neil deGrasse Tyson's line on it. We should just feel big because of that, because we come from that big ball of fire in the sky, essentially. So I don't think we should feel small because of that. I think we should feel big and almost. Well, it kind of touches on my spiritual beliefs, which are pantheistic in nature. Literally just nature.
Oh, right, yeah.
Not nature worship, because nature is a cruel mistress. But certainly.
I like that saying. Yeah.
Well, it is. There's no point denying it. Nature, as much as nature.
You look at
it destroys us as well. It can do. Nature isn't the caring, patriarch of Christianity or whatever, the Judeo-Christian religions or any other religions. It's a cruel mistress, and it gives as much as it takes away. But I think it's kind of a more I wouldn't even say rational. It's just more of a, because it's not about rationality. But I know plenty of Christians and various other people of faith who are very rational, scientific, and all the rest of it on specific areas. But in terms of the broad picture, I think pantheism, I'm not saying it doesn't make me more intelligent, of course it doesn't. That'd be arrogant to say that. But I think it's a more wider perspective view of the world and our place in it, I suppose.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like, even like as we were saying earlier with the ball flat Earth theory. I mean, I always just go back to this. Unless you get me up there in a shuttle and I can see it for myself, then I can honestly say, yes, it's a ball. No, it's a flat plane. But until that day, I'm gonna have to be skeptical.
A lot, yeah. I see what you mean, but I'd say this as well. If the Earth was flat, and it would just break all our laws of physics we understand, because the point of physical laws is they're universal. So
these things to fall back on, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously we have sent, obviously, if you want to look at it from a skeptical angle, it seems that we've sent rockets up and everything else. I mean, I believe we have, but I mean, if say that was a conspiracy, the actual fact of having basically the only shape that we could have in a vacuum for it to coincide with all our understanding of how physical laws like gravity and function, we'd have to completely rewrite and rethink all those laws if it were indeed flat. Not to mention the fact that if you can go all the way around the world, obviously. So if it was flat, we'd fall off the end of the Earth. That seems to me obviously the most obvious.
But apparently, according to these flat earthers, it's continuous. It doesn't just stop. It just goes on infinity, and no pilot wants to.
That couldn't physically work. I mean, we've had boats that have gone all the way around the world. So I mean, in terms of.
But apparently, our land mass is all in the centre, and then the rest of it just goes out. It's ocean that just keeps going out and out and out, and any pilot that tries to go that far out isn't really coming back, because it just goes on forever.
So it's like an infinite.
Almost like how they say, almost like how they say the universe goes on forever, but it's like a sea ocean, I guess, and it just keeps going.
That's a misunderstanding as well, because the universe, there are lots of observational data to prove this as well from cosmology. The universe doesn't go on forever. I mean, the universe, in terms of the observable universe, has an edge, which we're expanding into. Science can obviously evolve, but I mean, in terms of the observable effects, the Big Bang is a singularity that emerged out of singularity of space and time. We don't really understand what was before that, because that's what we're living in. But and it's been proven by redshifting, which is light from more distant stars. Redshifts, I can't remember all the specific details of it, but it is. The universe has been proven to be expanding into something which we don't know what it is. But that's kind of what the data would suggest, is that we're expanding into a something. Now there's a lot of, and more interestingly as well, I can geek out on this a bit, a real cosmological model that's been put forth is the idea of multiverses, which kind of, funnily enough, does kind of touch on the simulation hypothesis in some way. Which is that there's basically like, it's kind of like parallel universes in a way. So there's
parallel
universes
stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that the other day. There was this, I don't know if you saw the link on my Facebook page, some kid was breaking it down, very, very, very detailed in the way he did it, and it made a lot of sense in the sense that, I don't know if you know about CERN at the moment, that Hadron Collider. Yeah, apparently that has the technology, it has the capacity to almost destroy our world and throw us into a parallel one, and we wouldn't even know it. And then I go back to the flat Earth thing, thinking, how do we know our original universe wasn't destroyed, and then we're just in this parallel one, and the only difference is a few changes in like bits of reality that we'll never notice, and it's a flat Earth plane. I mean, that's a huge theory to throw out. And
I think, to be honest, my only problem with a lot of these ideas is there's a lot of what there's too many what ifs and not enough. I know.
Grounded answers. And, yeah.
I mean, like the reason I buy the scientific model, established ones, is because they've been borne out by literally thousands of years of research by people who aren't actually. I mean, some scientists do get allied with governments and states. I mean, that happens. I mean, look at the nuclear bomb with Heisenberg or Eisenhower. They were kind of like, it's a war situation, slightly different, but they were kind of allied to physicists who are allied or brought on board with their nation's purposes. But kind of, I mean, like with America, I mean, with NASA and stuff, there's Neil deGrasse Tyson, who I am a massive fan of, so I will not take dissing off him lightly. But he's actually critical of the American government, even despite the fact, because NASA's funding.
Is he?
NASA's funding's been cut a lot over the last 10 years, like Bush in power and Trump now, even Obama. NASA is kind of underfunded in a lot of ways, so I can't really buy the idea that NASA have got some kind of what would be the word?
Agenda
to fake that kind of thing. There's kind of a lot of conspiracy theories around the moon landing, which are kind of interesting.
I know, Stanley Kubrick and all the rest of it, and which is all interesting. And once again, it all comes back to the same places. You either buy it or you don't.
Oh yeah,
you know.
I mean,
I think we did or we didn't.
I mean, I think we did. Purely because, from a rational perspective, the amount of people that would have to lie.
Well, so do I, actually. Yeah, so do I. I mean, I was listening to some guy who works for the US government, but he was talking about he was talking about aliens and all sorts of things, stuff there, and the US government aren't going to disclose certain information to the public. Everyone would freak out, and I was going to go to work tomorrow if they find out certain things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I like, logically speaking, I don't know how they could keep that secret forever. I mean, like, even if it is still a secret now, assuming that is correct, it will come out and we look at WikiLeaks. All the rest of it. Government's data and keeping things secret is a lot harder now. So if there was like the kind of thing I think is if there is some big broad conspiracy for, I think in a lot of ways I think it's weird because it kind of feels like a subversion of what I think is actually the case, is that science and engineering isn't valued enough in a lot of ways, especially in
maybe it isn't. Yeah,
I think it should be more so, and I think we'll return back to the questions of the universe and the simulation hypothesis a bit. I think that's probably got a more interesting discussion.
Well, it's very kind of, like I said, I go back to the whole kind of, it always goes back to it's a bit funny. Yeah, it always goes back to philosophy in the sense that all these things we talk about, whether it's globe, whether it's flat, whether we're in the matrix and all that, it always goes back to the same thing. We can only question these things and go on sources that have already said and almost proven certain things.
And I think, like you were saying before, the best kind of evidence is always personal experience and actually seeing something, or coming at a conclusion by like actually working through it, whether that be reading or doing your own experiments, even going that far.
Sure, exactly.
Well, things like relativity are, experimentally have been proven, but they're not like. I mean, there are kind of tests. I think there are some random tests you can do to prove relativity, but it's not the kind of thing you can do in your bedroom and or whatever, like or in the park and stuff.
No, it's not.
But I mean, like you're saying, I was going on about multiverse. So multiverse is it's
multiverse theory.
It's funny you were mentioning about philosophy, because essentially multiverse theory is still very much theoretical, very very theoretical. It's basically philosophy is science in a lot of ways at this point. We can't prove.
I guess it is, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean we can't prove that there are multiple universes. We don't have sufficient technology to be able to prove that, and we also don't. Well, as far as we know anyway now, and we don't have a way to be able to prove that. And like you're saying about kind of how, I mean, in physics there's dark matter which is accountable for a lot of matter in the universe, and we don't know what it is. So
yeah, we don't know what it is.
All these things are like mental models that we try and build in our heads to understand the big picture, but likewise we can never assume that we have all the data and all the knowledge. And as much as I dislike flat earth theory, and I don't think it's true, and in a lot of ways I think it's not very useful to, because I think it can be refuted.
In the long run it isn't. Well, in the long run, there's no. But I was thinking about this the other day. There's no benefit from it, whether it is or isn't. I'm still going to be doing the same thing I do every other day. Do you know what I mean? Just getting on with my life. So but in the grand scheme of it, it doesn't make a difference. But it would throw a spanner in the works, wouldn't it? If it were the case, you'd just be like, oh my god, so what does that actually mean? So I've got my dog barking in the background. Yeah, you know what I mean?
I just heard someone randomly shouting outside my flat. I just got a bit distracted there midway through talking about physics.
Yeah.
Shut up, man. I'm trying to talk about physics or shouting some random shit outside. But yeah, I mean, I think in terms of how we model reality, there are certain things we can be relatively sure that are facts at this point. But also again, we can't be too arrogant, because I mean, Einstein with his discoveries threw away all Newton's ideas around how gravity worked and how the universe.
Oh, did he?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's the
That's interesting, isn't it?
There's the Newtonian model of the universe before that point, which didn't take account of it was just a different model of the universe. What's the I'm trying to remember the specific differences. I can't remember right now. Too late. I've got a bit of a headache, but
that's alright, mate.
He kind of revolutionised it, and that was just one guy. Obviously, physics now is much more collaborative. I mean, you do occasionally get people who come up with really big ideas and change the game, but they're always few and far between. It's quite interesting as well, because I've been reading a book on chaos theory a bit recently. I've not read a great deal of it yet, but that's kind of an interesting idea. So chaos theory involves chaos math, but also physics as well. And that is the idea that there is such a thing as a kind of chaotic system. It relates to entropy as well, which is disorder coming from order in systems.
Oh, right.
So
I guess the Big Bang would play into that quite nicely.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a very chaotic state. I mean, none of us were around then when that matter emerged from nothing.
I mean, whose original theory was that? Was that Hawkins? That it was a Big Bang?
No. A lot of Stephen Hawking's works on information lost in black holes, as far as I'm aware of. I never read
right.
his work. I know Stephen Hawking's work is on black holes. The theory of the Big Bang, and it's interesting actually, because I was reading a book, it was a while ago now, but it's by Roger Penrose, who's I think he's a contemporary of Stephen Hawking's at Cambridge, who says there's basically kind of the Big Bang seems to be the model that makes sense in terms of how things are unfolding. But in terms of how things will end, there's big crunch, big rip, and there's another one, but I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. But yeah, like as I said, the kind of physical evidence and the data seems to suggest we're expanding universe, which suggests there's acceleration away from something. So everything in the universe as well is moving further apart from everything else, which could mean that we end up with a big rip where we kind of just basically everything spreads out.
Oh no.
Well, it wouldn't be for billions of years, so you'd be alright, but basically everything spreads out.
I'll be alright. That's the main thing, isn't it? We'll be alright. We don't have to go through that.
Well, I mean,
if the human race are around to witness that, I'm sure they'll be like, oh.
We won't be the human race anymore. We'll have evolved into something.
No, we'll be like some kind of cybotic, if not, we'll be so hybrided with other, if there are extraterrestrials, I reckon the human race will, I know it sounds weird at first, but I probably reckon it will get to a stage where like humans will be hybrids of other aliens and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
It's possible. I mean, I think.
Who knows?
No, I think
who knows if they're attractive? If not, probably not. You're not going to want to mate with some kind of weird squid alien thing.
Why are you,
like
what are you getting on to having sex with me?
Whatever that film was called.
Species.
Yeah. If not the robots that will get us, it will be the aliens.
Yeah, well, just on that, just to make a funny note, like they're already making sex robots already. It's already happening. I've been following that with not interest, but kind of disgust of the human race in general. There's already people making sex robots. That's a crazy thing. And then we're going to just continue.
I mean, yeah, that's being made now. And I was thinking about it the other day in terms of like, obviously how you got the internet and online porn and all that. And I'm thinking, my God, that's robotic in a sense, isn't it? That's kind of, I was thinking that's almost kind of, what's the term? Someone coined the term robosexual, which I thought was quite funny. It might happen to people.
Well, yeah, I mean, I actually read a Bizarre magazine a few years ago about people are robo fetishists. Who's fetish?
There's another term, yeah, which has come out of, I don't know where that term's come from, but yeah, it's becoming it's slowly becoming the norm, isn't it? And it shouldn't. I should say it shouldn't, but people can do whatever they want with reason, I guess.
Yeah, it's a strange one to consider. I mean, I wouldn't really treat. Well, I kind of would think someone's a bit weird if they're into that, but whatever. I wouldn't really. As long as it's not hurting it.
I always think that as long as you're not hurting anyone, just. But at the end, yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Weird. It's like a weird transition of like, welcome to 2017. In 10 years' time, this might be the norm where you just fucking go into a shop like an adult one and be like, I want a robo, whatever, and it's like, hey. I think there have been films. Futurama did a lovely little episode on it about what would happen to humanity if that did happen. It'd be like, no one would bother to reproduce. They'd be like, too much
actually be negative for human reproductive.
I mean, in terms of people who are into like the whole population control, it's probably a good idea, but I'm sceptical on that. I don't think that's a problem, really. The whole too many people. I don't. Yeah.
There is, well, yeah, I don't know. It's a complicated question. I don't really want them to be around, but people are going to invent them anyway. So what can I do about it, really? At the end of the day. And
there might be protests. I'm predicting like proper, like, you know what I mean, conservative right wing, almost Christians being like, this is like satanic. What are you lot doing? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, they do that with a lot of stuff that actually isn't really that warped, or like gay rights or gay people or transgender or whatever.
Which is awful, isn't it? It's kind of like that again. My personal belief. I've got my personal beliefs, and then I've got, I see people who should have the same perspective of me. But when I see people with my kind of same belief systems doing all that mad shit, I'm just like, oh, they're missing the point almost.
Well, yeah,
you know what I mean?
Well, they're completely missing the point of what Jesus came down to tell everybody, which is love.
Yeah, I mean, I just break it down to that. It's just love, and just being nice to people, and
I think in a lot of ways as well, in terms of gender, it's kind of irrelevant to bring questions of, someone being the same gender or whatever, or even if they're straight, bisexual, gay, whatever. Like, who cares? I mean, at the end of the day, it's just love, and it doesn't really, as long as you're not hurting anybody by having your whatever predilection you have in terms of sexuality. And another thing that's not often talked about in terms of sexuality is most people's sexuality is very fluid. No pun intended, but it's generally.
What do you mean? Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Well, people are usually more or less gay or straight, but a lot of people have a certain degree of nuance in that, or bi-curiosity, I suppose, of both genders. Men don't talk about it very much. Women probably are more open to it, or open to kind of talking about it. But basically, Kinsey came.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine like women being like, yeah, and then blokes just being like, "Oh, I'm not gay." You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
Just even try to comprehend that one in a conversation with some people, will be like, "Oh." But it's weird. I mean, we're all female originally when we're in the womb. Yeah. We're all female for about 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and then you get your preference. or whatever. You get it's X or Y chromosome. You get one or two, and then from there, your preference once you hit adulthood is once again that I think that's.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think we all.
I don't want to say genetic. I think it's a preference, really.
Yeah, we
well, maybe it is genetic. That's skeptical, isn't it? Can't answer that one.
Well, I mean, like basically, I think you are essentially born with a preference or like a one way that you're more likely to go. But then I don't think environment structures sexuality, because you can, if you even start like entertaining that, it can go down a lot of kind of very, someone's chosen their lifestyle kind of shitty arguments, which really shitty people that can take hold of and then say, well, gay is a lifestyle or whatever, or like, being queer is a lifestyle and all the rest of it. But I mean, Kinsey did a lot of research on this, who was a sexual researcher. He basically said this.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he said this like,
yeah.
There's a scale of 1 to 6, 1 being completely straight or having a preference completely for the opposite sex, 6 being completely gay, having complete attractions to the same sex, and then bisexuals would be 3, which would be in the middle, so you just like shift between both, and then like 2 would be like basically bi-curious, 1 would be completely straight, blah blah blah. 5 would be basically gay, but you might want to have sex with the opposite sex or whatever. It's kind of interesting, and it's interesting as well in terms
Makes
of
sense, yeah.
I mean, we're talking about simulation hypothesis, I guess, so let's try and somehow link in sexuality with that in some bizarre way, just for a laugh.
I know, isn't it?
So, I mean, you could have, I'm just trying to think of even a way that you could link those 2 or 3 things together. I mean, you could essentially have, no, I can't think of any way to link those together. They're completely separate kind of ideas in a way. You know what I mean? It's just like, I can't link those things.
Yeah, it's like how do you incorporate that topic to this topic, like the correlation and all that?
I mean, you could have like, I don't know, interstellar perverts who like watching human beings having sex or something. You just want to construct a
which might
virtual
might
world.
be a reality.
Well, you might be like virtual, kind of a big brother for perverted aliens in the future. What?
I've often thought that. I thought there probably are a few that not watch just like TV shows, but they must analyse us. There must be a few that think no, they're not ready. Give them 500 more years. They're still developing.
We'll call this episode Intergalactic Perverts. It is decided.
Yeah.
That'll draw in a few people.
I like that one. Yeah.
But well, yeah. I mean, we all.
The madder the captions, yeah.
We have. I think we all, as human beings, not even as beyond being aliens, we have a voyeuristic aspect to all our personalities, whether it be for the aftermath of something horrible has happened, or and it's not because you like what's happened, it's because like a macabre fascination with the macabre, I guess. When it comes to sex,
is that the term?
Yeah, it's voyeurism. Well, voyeurism is just like a kind of getting pleasure from watching people, or watching, with porn it's an obvious one, it's just watching 2 people have sex. It's kind of biological act of the visual field that stimulates the jizz, as it were, or
sure, yeah,
the wettening if you're a woman. But I mean, I think it's kind of healthy to talk about.
Well, you have to, don't you? Yeah, I think yeah. I mean, it's all fascinating at the end of the day. Is
well, yeah.
I just thought, I bet there's a famous quote saying, if you don't question reality, you're already halfway dead or something, which is probably quite true. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I'm 30 now,
don't know.
so I'm halfway dead anyway.
I'll have to find it.
31. But
I hope not. I hope technology advances so we're all like, we reverse telomeres and live forever. Personally, I just think, like, on that topic,
so if you believe in that, then, or if you want that, then that kind of would make you essentially a transhumanist in a lot of ways.
I guess so. I guess I would sacrifice a part of my natural human development, just to live longer. I don't know what that would entail, but yeah.
But then that does bring up bigger ethical questions, because for that to happen, you're going to have test subjects and blah blah blah, or it could just it could go very wrong. Is basically what I'm saying.
Oh, completely. I mean, like, you know, there's even that on the internet, this whole cloning stuff, and people talking about, they're cloning, governments cloning people, and I'm thinking if they are, that's going to go wrong in itself, because I think...
Well, yeah, it's a bad idea all around, probably. I mean...
Because in hindsight, in a way, I guess certain governments could do it in secret and get away with it.
Maybe.
And, you know, but then again, maybe it doesn't happen, maybe it does. But even that one, you know, that form, I mean, that's a form of transhumanism. The idea of, hang on, maybe when you die, we'll just pop you into a clone or whatever like that. I mean, I was reading.
Go. Sorry.
I mean, I was reading something interesting. It was more to do with the brain and death. They've done some tests recently that when people pass on, they shock the brain with the high voltage of electricity. The people come back alive, and I'm thinking, so like, you know, just thinking about how electrical impulses can literally, you know, you've got defibrillators that can restart the heart. Now they're doing electroshocks on brains to bring people back. So I'm thinking maybe there's something in
all of this touches on a massive question, which science is still nowhere near answering, which is, what is consciousness? What is it that creates me? What is it that creates me here talking to you on an electronic device? I'm literally talking to myself essentially, but I'm talking to your voice. But what is it? I mean, obviously it's electrical signals in the brain which have been reinterpreted as a thing that we call reality. I mean, it's quite interesting when you actually consider the psychedelics in all this in terms of let's not incriminate ourselves, but we've both experimented in some level. We've both had one joint, haven't we? I think is essentially what we've had.
Dabbled.
Obviously these things open up a lot of doors beyond just the physical into the metaphysical and spiritual in a lot of respects, in terms of the bigger picture of what reality is. Now, obviously, with those things, it's very easy to get lost down corridors, and it's very easy to get
easily.
And you have to know the territory essentially to know what you're doing. But those are kind of good. It can be, obviously, depending on the individual, interesting ways to open up doorways and figure stuff out. But obviously, research in those areas has been massively stunted for like 50 years now. Since we've decriminalised war and drugs, blah blah blah. And it's kind of an interesting one to. I've actually got a book. I'll get it actually, because it's literally in front of me. Numinatics, which is about it's about nihilism on one level, but it's about metaphysics, psychedelics. It's a very hard read. I didn't find it very easy, but it talks a lot about how. I didn't find it easy in the sense that it's exploring a lot of very high-end, abstract philosophical concepts. And it's a while ago now. But he basically explores the idea. The author's Peter Stolstedt. He's English/Dutch, I think, and it's a lot about how kind of the subjectivity of psychedelics and how to deal with that kind of from a nihilistic perspective, or as in like I don't have credit. Well, I guess that's the end of that. So on that note, that's been Red Pills and Coffee. It looks like my Scout credits run out, so